where the Steelers are trying to figure things out after a drama-filled year that ended with the team missing the playoffs. Now, rising star receiver Juju Smith-Schuster says the team needs to stop acting like divas and the Kardashians. And a former Steelers star, Hines Ward, compared them unfavorably to one of their division rivals.
When we're talking about the Steelers off the field, more than what we're talking about the Steelers on the field, it's problems. I mean, I just look at, you remember those Cincinnati Bengals when they were worrying about the shenanigans with Ocho Cinco and TJ? That's who the Steelers are now. You got Mike Tomlin kind of treating this player a little different. To me, that's all a recipe for disaster, and you just open up a can of worms, and it starts with the head coach. When you have all that talent and they don't make it to the playoffs, then that's a reflection of the head coach.
Damn, Hines Ward, really? For real?
Get him.
Damn.
Get him. You know what, Hines Ward? No. Hines Ward kind of went after both of y'all. He called TJ out by name, but he's basically saying, look, man, Mike Tomlin deserves some of this smoke, Marcellus. He deserves some pressure for this culture.
Well, since there's smoke, there's enough smoke to go around. Gonna check Hines Ward's shoes. I bet he got on flip-flops because he sure be going back and forth on this one. Here we go, Hines Ward. The culture that you built and the culture that Juju Smith-Schuster is talking about, not externally. The remedy to this situation is not going to be you trying to shut us up in the media about it. It's going to be you guys having different courses of action. Let me start with that. Hines Ward. Hines Ward was a tremendous player to me. Borderline Hall of Famer, wherever you want to put him, he was a tremendous player. He had his own issues. Arrested, DUIs, gunpoint, like from the police.
He act like we forgot those.
No. Say, I never get up here. I love the fact that I was good, bad, and great and ugly in the league because I could go every place where you want to go. You ain't going to make me feel bad, but you better watch where you're throwing them stones. So Hines Ward had his issues, but the culture was fine then, huh? Why? Because you won a Super Bowl? Okay, that's cool. This team is talented. They don't make the playoffs. All of a sudden, it's a culture issue. Maybe there's other things outlining what's wrong with this team. There is too much noise coming from there. Agreed. But to sit there and act like teams can't still succeed with noise is absurd to me. I don't understand the shots that he's taking because there's no choir boy team out there.
Juju just said who's a part of that team.
Listening to you.
We got to quit being the Kardashians.
That just shows Juju is watching this show for sure.
Oh, that means he's in that locker room and he can see the Kardashians.
This is what people don't realize. Pretty much every team has something that's going on. Maybe not to this extent to where every player on the team, the best players are treated differently, but they have to fall within a team scope because every personality is different. You can't treat the two different players the same way. They should operate on the same set of rules, but we're going to treat each other a little differently. That's just how it is. They didn't win, and it always is going to start at Tomlin and Roethlisberger because he's a quarterback. Once he came out and criticized Antonio Brown, which we've discussed in past shows, it creates tension. It creates animosity. Like, if you really felt that way, pull me to the side.
Right.
You don't have to go on your radio show and say X, Y. Pull me to the side. We can talk about this, and I might not like it, but I can respect it. I won't come back at you publicly like you did me. It's because they didn't make the playoffs. But I'm not going to fire shots at Hines Ward because when I saw that, I started replaying all the things that he did in his past.
I did.
Just because they didn't have a successful season, it's not, when they were, this was going on last year. This was going on when they won Super Bowls.
And again, and I'm not trying to gas you up. I don't remember, I don't remember you having problems in Cincinnati. When I think of Cincinnati problems, I think of Chad Johnson, and then I think of T.O. Late. You don't see any similarities between the drama and the upheaval with the Steelers? That doesn't remind you of some of the Bengals teams that underachieved despite having talent?
It was completely different because we were having guys getting arrested, getting suspended. We had a lot of that going on. The similarities are with Chad Naby. I can see that. You know, kind of operate on your own set of rules. You show up late, you don't show up. That happened. And in this day and age in the social media area, it'd be out like that. And that never really came out. I remember one time we were playing the Steelers. It was a Saturday night. We're in Pittsburgh. Saturday means before the game. Chad don't show up. He not even there. Chad's my roommate on every road game. Where Chad? Chad in the room sleep. He just didn't want to come to the meeting. He came, they went and got him. He came to the meeting. He sat in the meeting like, just like this. And the coach, offensive coordinator, Bob Brakowski, was like, Chad, you gonna sit up? He was like, nah, I don't want to be here. They kicked him up out of there, said he wasn't playing. Sunday morning, we walked into the locker room, Chad was there. He playing. And so that happened a lot.
That don't sound like Pittsburgh. That sounds like Pittsburgh.
Right, but what I'm saying is...
Sound like New England, too. Malcolm Butler. It happens.
Pittsburgh was winning, and so these things are acceptable when you make the playoffs. Now that they don't make the playoffs, now it's a problem. You put up with it when you're successful, but you got to nip it in the bud immediately, and that's what Juju is saying is, I don't want to be that guy because now I see AB do it. If I have any of that in my character, that might be me in the future.
It's interesting. I mean, look, there have been Super Bowl teams, participants from Atlanta, Oakland. We all know the indiscretions of individuals getting in trouble. Winning teams have trouble. Losing teams have trouble, and it gets exposed and exaggerated. But I'm just trying to say there are some commonalities between New England and all the issues and dysfunction. And we read the article at length, 10,000-word article last year about all the issues in New England. Like everywhere, they have issues. Why is it so big in Pittsburgh?
Because to me, Marcellus, I think what y'all are missing and what y'all are saying is like, you might occasionally eat fast food. I have a fast food problem. And so it's like the New England may have an occasional McDonald's, but they're not dining out on it every night like the Pittsburgh Steelers. And maybe that's why the Steelers aren't having the kind of consistent success of the New England Patriots.
And you know what it really is? I totally respect what you just said and agree, actually. It's the people that are getting into the issues in Pittsburgh. When it's Le'Veon, who's not even there, and that was the beginning of the season noise. Then Roethlisberger took it in the middle of the season, talking about his teammates on his radio show, despite a lot of players having radio shows and not going in on their teammates. And then the latter part of the season was AB. Those are their biggest three stars. I understand why the noise is so excessive, but I also want to make sure we don't materialize noise into exactly in correlation wins and losses. I've seen noisy teams win. I've seen great character teams lose. And I just want to make sure we keep that balance because now we got Juju Smith, who's not even a participant in the noise, talking about the noise, which is only going to make it noisier.
He's right there and witnessing it, and I think he
But don't try to separate yourself from it. And Hines certainly can't, but Hines is trying. But Juju can't separate yourself from it because you're a part of it. You're the brother. If you're the fixer, fix it in there. Don't fix it out here.
Mike Tomlin could have stopped it all. He knew when Le'Veon Bell didn't report, the whole locker room was going to be asked questions of, you know, how do you guys feel? That Wednesday morning meeting or Monday, whenever it was, guys, when they asked you about Le'Veon, he's not here. We wish him the best. We wish he was here. That's what should have occurred.
Yeah, real talk.
That was the beginning of the end. Never once have we seen the offensive line or just players in general talk about another player not showing up because he's trying to get a contract. Normally, the players back each other when it comes to contract and money. That was the beginning of the end, and then it just started to snowball throughout the season.
All right, let's move to the Cowboys, who made some coaching moves this week, naming Kellen Moore offensive coordinator and John Kitna quarterbacks coach, but they have yet to give head coach Jason Garrett a contract extension and reportedly aren't likely to before the season starts. Jerry Jones has praised Garrett all year, but this week declined to talk about the coach's future with the team and said of his record, quote, "It's not enough. It's been good, but it's not been good enough." Basically, I like what Jerry's doing here. I think it was Adam Schefter who reported that they're not going to give Jason Garrett a contract extension. They need to put pressure on Jason Garrett. And it's like, hey, man, we got you Amari Cooper. We got you an experienced quarterback going into his 4th or 5th year. We built you a hell of a defense. We've given you that personnel. It's now time to win. And they got to win more than one playoff game next year for Jason Garrett to keep his job.
I respect the intent by Jerry Jones, but this is a mishandling of his situation. There's a reason why we talk about lame duck coaches and the fact that it's a rarity in the league. It's a rarity because you're setting them up for failure. You're not setting them up for failure in terms of putting pressure on them, like you said. You're setting them up for failure in adversarial situations and moments of conflict in that locker room and on that field, when a player who is sitting there with a multi-year contract is getting barked at or getting looked at or getting chastised by one Jason Garrett, who doesn't even have the security himself. And I've been in those moments before. And I'm a guy of high character. I'm a nice guy. I laugh at any time you want to fight. I'm going to laugh first. But it's still, when I was getting the big dough and you were just a dude or you just were sitting there trying to prove something, oh, I got the leverage. I got the moments. And this is what's going to happen. Jason Garrett is going to get undermined by a team that's like, the owner ain't even in on you. So why should I be all in on you? It sounds like you're putting pressure on him in a positive way, but you're really cutting off his feet from underneath him.
I like it just because it happens to players all the time. And Jerry Jones is if he doesn't win, if Jason Garrett doesn't win 2 playoff games, he's gone. Now, to your point, the reason the Cowboys should not have that problem, they really, aside from the vets up front, they really don't have a lot of high-paid guys that they got guys that are looking for deals that are going to be on their best behavior.
Dak,
Zeke, Amari Cooper, Lawrence, Van Der Esch, Jalen, all these guys, Byron Jones, they're looking for deals. They're going to be on their best behavior, like yes, sir, no, sir type of thing, because they want to get paid. And if they play well, then they'll get paid. Jason Garrett will get an extension, but
yeah,
they look good.
You said it always works on players. You know why? It's supposed to work on players in the pecking order in the way that the dynamic is. They have authority over us. So they want to keep us like, hey, you know what? Any second you could be gone. But when it is flipped and down the authority figure, the coach doesn't have that same power built into his role, there's a problem. And I just think that this is a backwards way of approaching situation. Give the guy the security and then say, go flex. And if you don't like it, I understand it's
he's not giving him the security because he doesn't wholeheartedly believe in Jason Garrett as the coach.
So why should the players?
But again, Marcel, I think the difference is the Dallas dynamic and culture is different. I don't think Jason Garrett's ever the guy to flex. The guy that does all the flexing is Jerry Jones. And so when a player bucks up, it's going to be Jerry that goes and sits down and talks to him. And Jerry has that kind of relationship with players like, hey, man, we are all in on 2019. We're trying to be in the 2020 Super Bowl, and we can't have this. You know what I've done for you. You know what we're trying to do. And look, he's got Zeke in his hip pocket. He stood behind Zeke in his darkest hour. He has stood behind Dak when the whole media, everybody thinks this guy isn't a franchise quarterback. He's got the 2 most important guys. Then he's got offensive linemen. That's where they've invested their money. Offensive line, we ain't about that.
This ain't Pittsburgh.
Right.
right.
Pittsburgh. Right. And then what TJ said, you know what? Does he have some problematic, maybe DeMarcus Lawrence or Randy Gregory, some problem children on the defensive line? I think he feels like they can handle that with that coach, Chris Richard and Rob Marinelli. I just think the dynamics in Dallas are different, and Jerry has so much leverage over the players that he does need to put a gun to Jason Garrett and like, hey, man, you got to perform.
Football is a great game of skill, greater game of will. You just cut off a lot of the buy-in, a lot of players.